Hello everybody, welcome to Resilience Voyage introduction video. My name is Stacey Litster and this is
Kerry Farmer.
The video today is about letting you know a little bit more about us and how the company came about. So my work background is through youth work. I built myself up through an organisation doing my youth work qualifications, and I also worked with vulnerable adults in support work also.
Mine's a little bit different. My work background was in the prison service, doing offender behaviour programs. Did that for the best part of 10 years. And then I have worked in kind of around a behaviour unit and did some targeted youth work. So covering all areas really.
I suppose it's a good place to start on how we actually met, because we actually did go to school together. We were in the same year, but we didn't actually talk in school, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't dislike each other, but we just didn't speak. That was all.
That was it. We just weren't in the same circle of friends.
No.
However, our kids did bring us together, which is really nice, and that was at infants school. Just a couple of years, a year or two difference, isn't it? So we met, so we got talking on the playground, which is nice. Our friendship blossomed from there. Yeah,
it did. So then obviously we had different kind of work experiences in different areas and got chatting about the kind of pitfalls in what we did and kind of where we could see that we should make a difference. You know, we spent a long time chit-chatting about different ideas that we had, how it should be done like this and it should be done like that, and then eventually we kind of said, you know what, let's actually do something about this, and that's when we started working on Resilience Voyage as a company.
Yeah, and Resilience Voyage, which is an interesting name that we played around with quite a few different names, didn't we, until we came up with Resilience Voyage, including the logo as well. We really wanted to make sure that when people saw our logo and heard our name, it really summed up what it was that we wanted to achieve, which was resilience for all. And by doing that, we wanted to touch on lots of different topics. People might be thinking, you know, why is mental health our direction and our passion? For us, I think, especially with our work backgrounds, we definitely both got to see the importance of mental health and how it underpins absolutely everything. And not sort of taking away anything anybody else does at all, but for us, we felt like everything was kind of like pulling a blanket over the problem, and we felt like so much was being missed. And for us, you know, we wanted to make sure if we really pay attention to mental health, then there's so much more is going to be prevented.
Yeah, it kind of underpins everything, doesn't it? Like you just said, you know, it's all about the way that we think and the way that we behave, and kind of looking at how that impacts on everything. And like you said, if you're focusing on a topic, you know, I suppose, for example, when I worked in the prison service, you know, we teach people coping skills for life once they're in prison. And, you know, that's always been crazy to me. You know, it's not something that we ever learn, it's something that we pick up as we grow, yet we don't know if anyone's being shown that. Some people are, fantastic, but a lot of people aren't. And then we're expecting them to know, and then we don't help them until they get either into trouble, and it just seems crazy to us.
Mental health, that is really why a big force of that comes from, but from personal levels as well, is probably really underneath it all the biggest push, I would say, for why our interests and our passion was probably there first, that led us to maybe the type of work that we do. Because I suppose when we look at the type of work that we do, it's always led into supporting people and helping people. So you kind of question yourself, where does that come from? And I think really, if you agree with me or not, I think it is our past, our own personal experiences and our life experience that even really put that there unconsciously in the back of our mind until we kind of found ourselves a bit more.
I think it definitely plays a massive part in what we do. Like you said, it probably planned your pathway for you, like you said, with the jobs that you choose that you might not have noticed. And also you can relate to the struggles that people have. I think when you have past experiences of your own, I suppose you maybe feel those struggles for those people on a personal level, which makes you more passionate about it.
And people know, they can tell, you know, that empathy, it comes across as well with the conversations that you have, and that openness of conversations, you know, in some jobs that you can do and others that you can.
Yeah.
And in youth work, you always had that fabulous kind of ability to be able to talk a little bit more openly with young people, vulnerable people. Our personal experience, life experience, is so important. We don't believe that you have to be smothered in qualifications, even though they are great. But life experience is something that has been, yes, negative, but has put us in a place where we are now and has created what we have. So we want to share a little bit of that with you. For me, my background was growing up, unfortunately, with a alcoholic mother with abusive partners that she had, and kind of left in a point where I ended up homeless as well through that, when I left my mother's house and left my father's house. So there's a mixture of experiences that I went through when I was younger. So it's different, multiple types of abuse, unfortunately, in my background, that led on to my mental health, which I'll get on to in a second, as Kerry's going to touch on her life experience as well.
Yeah, so mine was mainly to do with a domestic violence situation with a drug addict for 13 years, which had a lot of violence, physical, emotional, sexual violence. So there's a lot of things that have happened that have really impacted the way that you go on to do things, and actually that's been a massive factor for why we, like you said, for why we probably got into what we did in the first place. Our work, our jobs, and all those things really play a part.
Yeah, we've always said as well that we both come at different angles, don't we?
Yeah.
As, you had to live with a heroin addict, and I was a drug addict. You had to live with domestic violence as an adult, and I had to live with domestic violence as a child, and we both keep coming from these different angles, which is great because it gives us the opportunity to reflect and understand it from different ages and different points of views, and being on the receiving end. Kind
of linking into what you said, it's been a real silver lining for us. If you're going to take a positive out of a negative, this has definitely been it. Like you said, being able to come from all those different angles has really benefited us. And I'm not suggesting that we needed those situations in our life. Of course we didn't, but actually it has helped us out now. Like I said, we're having all those different viewpoints and different angles where we can come at it from different sides has been really good.
Now we're able to use something bad, turn it into something good, and support others out there that need that kind of support.
Yeah.
But obviously from our experiences came our own mental health. So through mine, unknowingly for years, I didn't realise that I had borderline personality disorder, and I've been managing mine for the past 5 years now, roughly.
So yeah, I've got post-traumatic stress disorder, and probably for a similar amount of time. And I think working together, being friends, has really helped our journey to deal with our own mental health process. Obviously at different stages and different things, but there's lots of similarities, there's lots of differences, and we've been able to, again, been really lucky to have each other that understand and get it, and we love to discuss it and chat it out and kind of see how to see what we're doing and how we can do it differently. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
Yeah, and it's kind of been like therapy every day with our work, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day.
We talk a lot.
We do, but I think that's why we've come on leaps and bounds within our work as well. And where all of our creativity comes from, where all our ideas come from. So yeah, I think it's only been but beneficial and massively. It's very unique. There's not really anything out there that we know of that is like it. So we thought, of all the things we could touch on in this video, for us, we wanted to discuss that a little bit, didn't we?
And I think it just links into all the things that we're passionate about. Like you said, all these experiences previously of where we've seen, everything's gone on to someone doing a talk. We didn't want it to be a talk. We wanted it to be interactive. We wanted it to be engaging, whatever we did, and there's these key things that then led us down a pathway.
Yes, and getting that bus was quite an interesting story in itself, just to start with.
Yeah.
So you'd found this place to get the bus, and we arrived, and it ended up being under a motorway, didn't it?
We're cutting the story very short. this went on for a long time, but eventually we decided that, you know, we're going to get this bus. I found this guy all the way up north that had this bus. We didn't know anything about it. We just had to turn up. We drive down. We end up on this dirt track driving down and end up under a motorway bridge, which if you've ever been under a motorway bridge, which I hope none of you have, it sounds like a war zone basically. So with the cars going over the top, it sounds like bombs are dropping. It's quite an intimidating place. And with both of our mental health issues comes a lot of anxiety. So you can imagine, I'm just going to set the scene for you. It's loads of rusty buses, just all cram-packed in, down the end of a dirt track, and here we are. If you watch a lot of films, it's your typical place where you're going to get murdered. You know, that's the instant image that I had when I drove up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both of us, we were joking about all of the things that we were visualizing, and like we said, with the anxiety, with the paranoia all kicking off, we'd already kind of set the scene just to make it worse. But then this friendly old boy popped out, didn't he?
They went down over very well.
That eased it a little bit.
Yeah,
that eased it to the point we went and had a look at those buses. But what kicked it back off was this shady character that kept moving. But so again, just like Kerry told you about, these buses were lined up, and it was very small space to walk between these buses, and we were okay. I think we were okay for a little bit, and then this character just kept and that past the buses. The old guy, he didn't introduce us or anything, did he, to him until a little bit later on. Then he said, "Oh, by the way, this is."
Yeah. But you've got to imagine that we're already in a place that's quite intimidating. You've got some guy just whipping past the ends of buses, and you're not really sure where he is or what he's doing. And then to top it all off, we get into the last bus that we're looking at. The door's shut and he can't open them. Smoke starts coming in the back of the bus. And I thought it's all going to end here. You know, this is it now. We're locked on the bus. He said, "I can't open the doors. I'm sorry." Smoke's filling up in the back. We're just like, and I'm looking at you, aren't I, giving you the eye, just like, here it is. It's coming now. Get yourself ready. But obviously that never happened, because here we are. And the guy turned out to be a lovely guy. And we got our bus, and there it began.
So why did we choose to go for a bus? We wanted to be on wheels. We definitely knew that we wanted to be as accessible for all as much as possible, and the best way to do that was giving ourselves a platform that meant we could go to others. I mean, it reduces people's time and effort and paperwork and cost, you name it. I'm sure the list goes on, because we are able to go there. And we also want to be able to reach the UK. The one thing we knew, didn't we, right at the beginning, is we wanted to be able to go all over, not just our area.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, particularly our area that we are from is quite a rural location, and we know that we're not the only place, and we wanted to be able to, you know, as you said, we're really passionate about universal preventative services, and this is one way that we can really reach all.
So when people step inside of the bus, we normally do get that kind of wow. That's kind of when we get the biggest kind of, where on earth did you get this idea from? Because we take them upstairs, and the first thing they see is a rundown apartment.
So yeah, I think the rundown apartment, the ideas come from our mind, and we were creative, but also it comes from off the back of a lot of research that, you know, has already been done out there, that we know that things that people can relate to and see, and it's all those sensory aspects of work.
Also, what's really important to us is small numbers. So we've done research into that as well, and being able to give people more time. Also, people not losing themselves in maybe more confident speakers. Having a small number, one in that small space, means they can take in the environment first of all, and also be able to be heard and seen, and that's really important to us as well.
Yeah, and again, I think from research and experiences, you know, we all know, and we all find, if you're in a meeting when someone's doing a PowerPoint and there's 50 of you in the room, you're at the back making notes about St. House, what you're doing for your tea, you're writing your shopping list. You're not paying attention, because it's not directed at you, it's not personal. So, you know, it's not necessarily, it's not that you are not interested, but your mind wanders when you're not engaged. And that's, you know, that's as adults in our workplace. let alone, you know, for everybody else, young people, if you're like ourselves, you know, we're not necessarily academically minded and want to sit down and write. That's just not the way that we go about things. And some people are, and that's fantastic. But the vast majority are not. And so we wanted to tap into everybody, wanted to give everybody the opportunity to learn. And there's lots of different stimuli on that, you know, there's visual, like we said, there's kind of learning through movement, there's, you know, there's all sorts going on.
And touch is a good one.
Yeah.
So it's not come on and keep your hands to yourself, it's go in and explore, look around. You know, it's to capture their attention as much as possible. And it's so diverse on there that we're able to hit on so many important points through discussions. And then obviously people see the replica prison cells on there as well, which again states kind of what we do in a way to immerse people into an environment. But we're not just putting them in a prison cell, because again you can do that in lots of other different places. This is actually about bringing, you know, it to life, bringing that environment to life, but also it's the escape room. You know, it's an escape room challenge, and it's all based around a prison cell, so it's all within the subject, isn't it?
From things that we've kind of had in our past and my work background as well, you know, a lot of people that I met in prison, you know, all said the same, that had they known what it was like, that would have been more of a deterrent. And we also know that that's not necessarily the case as well, because given, you know, if you think in a certain way, if you feel all the emotional stuff behind it, and that doesn't necessarily, the consequences don't necessarily change the outcome. But actually, you know, most of them, and most people don't know what a prison cell's like until you're in one. And at that point, it's too late because you're already there. And, you know, like you said, you want people to experience that and see that, but also in a fun and interactive way. There's no point locking someone in the cell and making them sit there for half hour, because again, same as with the meeting, you're going to be bored and you're going to be annoyed, and you're going to probably, if you're anything like me, purposely not take anything on board because you're annoyed.
All the emotions that get flagged up in there, and they're all equally important, from good to bad, you know, because feeling is a really important thing, and we shouldn't say feeling a particular emotion is bad and we shouldn't, you know. I think they all need to be explored, because then we can all focus on how we can manage and cope with those. I think it's really important that our sensory bus brings that up. All right, so thank you very much for tuning in and watching our video on our small introductory on us and our company. Thank you very much.